Hi guys, it's Kelly Latevola here and I'm back with another video for Neat and Tangled. Today we are going to be using these Butterfly Beauty stamps as well as the Grateful Heart stamp sets. You know, for me, butterflies and flowers, like happy, happy, everything happy. So I had this idea. I had used the butterflies once before, but I didn't really get to use them in a quote-unquote scene per se, and I really wanted to use them with the flowers. So here I'm using some Copic Safe ink. This is just a Hero Arts intensified black ink, and this is one of my favorites. I really enjoy this ink, so I'm just going to go ahead and stamp these down on the bottom left and top right hand corner so that my butterfly will have some place to sit. I am going to be fussy cutting out my butterfly, so I'm not worried about masking that. I am going to mask this top flower because the set has like a couple of flowers and then a bud in it, and I wanted to be able to kind of bring it down by stamping the bud so it didn't just look like one single flower in the corner. So I'm just very quickly going to trim these out. I did have to trim the leaves out separately. That was kind of a little bit of a pain. It's just because they're so small. There isn't like the line that connects them. There isn't a real good way to do that. You could stamp over it. I don't think that it would necessarily be a huge deal, but I don't mind doing the fussy cutting and the masking. So I just decided that I was going to mask it. And then I'm not even going to cut the whole thing out because I'm just being lazy. I only need what is our right-hand side watching the video. I only need just that corner to be masked because that's where I'm going to put what ends up being two buds just to extend down that little corner and make it look a little bit fuller. So I'm going to stamp one here and then I'm going to move it. You should, of course, well, here, I thought I was done with it. And then I was like, nah, let me put this back. You should clean your stamps before you do this. Otherwise, you're risking leaving a mark on the paper. I don't really, honestly, ever clean them. Hardly ever. I'm not great about it. Some people, it bothers them if their stamps are dirty or their stamps are stained. It does not bother me in the slightest, and I'm sure you can tell that from watching my videos. So here, once I have that corner a little bit fuller, I'm going to go ahead and stamp out my butterfly. There are two butterflies in this set. They're both super pretty, but I think I picked the second one down, and that's just because I felt like it gave me the most opportunity to kind of customize it, which is what I wanted to do with my detail work. These are quite detailed images, and you certainly don't have to color them the way that I do, which is a little bit more time consuming, but I really wanted to try to see how much dimension I could get with my alcohol markers. The first time I colored these, I did it with colored pencil, and those were also very pretty, but you know, alcohol markers are kind of my thing. So I knew that I wanted to do the butterfly more realistic. And so when I went to go look at colors of butterflies, turns out there are no pink butterflies. Doesn't that make you sad? I feel like we should have pink butterflies. But there are orange and yellow. I opted to go with yellow. There's also like a yellow-green kind. I chose to go with a more golden yellow. So I filled it all in with my lightest color, and then I'm going through and adding shading to the bottom of each section, I guess, to give myself that dimension. I'm using just the tip of the marker, and I am not pressing down at all. Just letting the marker touch the paper and then pulling it across the line. It does take a lot of practice. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't, especially to get into these little teeny tiny areas. But don't push it all. No pressure. Just the tip of your marker. And don't beat yourself up too much if it's a little wider than you want it to be. When you go over it with your, we go lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest. When you're going back through, your lighter color will pick up some of that darkness so that it blends out. And then just don't expect them to be your lightest color. Don't expect to use a 4-color blend and think that they're gonna look like your lightest color. They're not. They're gonna look like your midtones. And if you've watched my videos before, you've heard me say that, where the midtones is what you see the most of. The shadows, i.e. your darkest color, and your highlight, i.e. your lightest color, well, what you will see like minimal of. So that is one section, and I'm just going to keep moving on to the other sections and doing the exact same thing that you just saw me do. So inadvertently, and you'll see when we get down there, I didn't love the butterfly when I was done with it. I love it on the card, but I did not love the butterfly after I was done coloring it, and I will tell you why after you see the whole thing completed. It'll make sense then. So the last time that we visited, we were about 2 weeks out of the wedding. We are now 1 week out. It is Sunday, August 30th, and we are getting married on September 5th. So this time next week, we will be married, and all of the planning and it'll all be over. Won't that be so nice? It'll all be over. We are both at the stage where we're like, okay, let's just get married. Especially I think in the last 2 weeks, all of the appointments, dropping off of things, coordinating of things, making sure, everything is what you need it to be, kind of thing, just gets very overwhelming. And if you have ever planned a wedding, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, and this is not news to you. But one of the things, and this is, I actually went back and listened to my other video because I was like, I was going to tell them about something that I did, and I cannot remember what it was, and I chose to tell them about the wedding sign instead. And neither one of us could remember, even though both of us, like, I obviously did the voiceover, and then he watches the videos, so I listened back to it, and turns out it was the card box. That's what I was going to tell you about, and that's a worthwhile story. I'm glad that I went back. I'm glad that I went back and listened to it, because it's worth it. So we're just going to watch the coloring. You know how this rolls. I'll interject as necessary. So I have recently, I have always watched YouTube videos, and I still do. I watch them of my friends. I watch them of other people that, do things, woodworking and things like that. Here I am going to go back and add a little bit of shading underneath that top wing to give it that dimension. And then I'm going to, move on to the next sections as well as the center. I'll show you how I colored that as well. So I still enjoy YouTube videos, and I have recently fallen into this Dollar Tree craft videos. There's like a whole subcategory, just like you have card makers, you have like a whole subcategory of YouTubers that are just making the most amazing things out of things that they found at Dollar Tree. And for those of you that don't know, everything at Dollar Tree is $1. Like some dollar stores, it's not truly $1. Dollar Tree, it really is. And they have like a craft corner and like a floral section, and these women are amazing. They make just the coolest home decor stuff, and not that I'm making any of that, I'm not, but I'm fascinated by it. So one of the things we needed for the wedding was a card box, and I was watching a video by Heidi Sonabule, I think is how you say it. I will link to her YouTube because she's very, very talented and very, very sweet. And so I linked, or I will link to her. But I was watching her, and she built this super cute little crate. Like, it's all like farmhouse chic. What is the one they do with the beachy stuff, but they don't call it beachy stuff? Coastal farmhouse. That's like a whole thing. Anyway, she built this crate, and it was the cutest little crate out of painter sticks, and that's really it. Oh, chalkboards, dollar store chalkboards. So she found 2 dollar store chalkboards, again, $1 a piece, and then you can get a pack of painter sticks from like Home Depot or Lowe's they have 5 in them for 98 cents. So I think the whole project ended up costing her $5. And it was so super cute. And like I told you before, we ended up with this rustic theme that I didn't really know anything about. And I was like, that would be so cute, like a little crate for our card box. And it'll cost us less than $5. So like my cheap chicken fiance will be super happy about it. So I figured it was something that Peanut and I could do together. And so I explained to him my plan. He says he's totally in to help. But so when you get the painter sticks, they have the numbers on them. Now she painted hers, so this is no big deal. I wanted to stain mine. I wanted mine to look, I wanted the wood look. So he did. He diligently, Nathan diligently sat and took the sanding block and sanded off all of the numbers for the painter sticks. And then he helped me stain one or two of them, but he didn't stain a lot of them. Okay, wait, now we're back here. So now here I decided to do black, like a monarch butterfly, right? So a yellow one instead of an orange one. And do you know what all I could think? And if you grew up in the 90s playing video games, you've already know where I'm at. This butterfly totally reminded me of Mortal Kombat, Scorpion's little outfit with the yellow and the black. And like the whole time I was looking at it, I just kept thinking, get over here. Like that was his little line in the video game. And I did not love it. I did not love it. I will tell you though, once it got a little bit more customized and then I got it on the card, I did love it. So that just goes to show you, like, don't, even if you're not like 100% about it, don't give up until you see all the pieces come together. Because if at this point, I would have just pitched it because I didn't like it. I was not a fan. I wasn't a fan of the yellow and the black together. But then once you bring in the pink and the teal and it all kind of meshed, and then I was a much bigger fan. So you'll have to tell me what you think. But anyway, so he sands them. He says he's going to help me stain them. He doesn't really help me stain them. I mean, like, he does like 2 sticks and then he's like, you can finish them. Thanks, buddy. I'm on it. So then she builds it with a staple gun and hot glue. Okay. This is how she does this. So she has like this cute little miter box, which you can buy for $10 at Home Depot. Now y'all know I'm scared of saws. But I thought, well, I've watched Heidi use it enough. If Heidi can use it, surely I can use this little miter box. And so I cut my little frame. And I don't know if this is going to work, by the way, so I haven't told Eric what it is. Like, he knows I have the pieces parts, but he doesn't know what I'm trying to build. So I get out in the garage with my little miter box after he went to work one day. And I think it was a Saturday, and I was off. And so I get out there, I get all my little things measured out for how big I need it to be to go around the frame, and I start cutting it with the saw. And I cut a practice piece, and it came out beautifully, even though I didn't realize how much my triceps were going to be on fire from actually hand sawing something. FYI, it's not easy. So it comes out, and I was like, yes. So then I move on to the actual sticks that have been stained. I should have stained them before I cut them, by the way. I didn't. Moving on. So then I get my whole frame cut out and all the mitered edges fit and it looks like a perfect little frame, and I am so excited. I am like giddy in the garage. Like, this is going to be great. So I get all my pieces cut for the back and the front of the picture, like to the frame for the chalkboard. And then I go in and we attempt to start building this thing. And when I say attempt, that's attempt after attempt after attempt. So the way Heidi did it in her video was she hot glued the frame to the chalkboard, and then she staple gunned the other painter sticks to the frame to build out the sides and the bottom. This is what she did. And I watched her do it in the video, guys, so it's not like she did it off camera and did something else weird. Like, she does it right in front of you. And I could not do it. Like, I totally bought oh, you can, it's so easy, you can do this. I couldn't do it. It was not so easy, I could not do it. So, I think, well, maybe it's my staple gun. Because it was kind of a janky one that I got at Joann Fabrics, and I used it to recover the dining room chairs, and it wasn't even great then. So I thought, well, okay, maybe if I go get a staple gun, like a real, like, Tim the Toolman Taylor staple gun, like, maybe it'll be easier, I'll be able to line it up. Plus, my staples were a little bit too long. I'm not going to lie. They were. Like, you could kind of see them poking out of the frame when I stapled them from the back. So I was like, well, I'll just go get this new staple gun and shorter staples. I have to go to Ace Hardware anyway to get my mason jars for my centerpieces. So Peanut and I tool out to Ace Hardware, and I pick up my mason jars, and I explain to the man who works there that, like, I need something that doesn't require a lot of hand strength, because me and upper body strength are not synonyms at all. So he recommends this one. I get shorter length staples. We come back home. I'm trying it again and again and again and again, and I cannot get it to work. And so at some point, don't call CPS on me. I swear it was an accident. So then I'm mom of the year. Okay, here's what happens. I'm mom of the year. I had been doing this on like some scrap plywood that we had, and the gun jams. Oh no, before that, before this even happens, I have to go back. My friend, Angie, who is in my wedding, she's one of my bridesmaids, had called me and we were talking. I tell Peanut, Mommy has to go outside real quick. Don't touch anything on this table. Don't touch anything on this table. Because the staple gun is sitting there and the hot glue gun is still plugged in. And I'm like, don't touch it. Now he's 7. He knows that he's not supposed to do these things, right? So I go out and I have my telephone conversation. And then I come back in. And do you know what I find? Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what I find? My child is nowhere to be found. And in my bar stool is a staple. Directly like thunk right in my bar stool. And then next to that piece that is fully sunk in there is a piece of chipped out wood. So now I'm yelling for him because I don't know where he is. I don't know if he shot himself with the staple gun. Like, I have no idea what has happened. So he comes back down and I was like, what is this? What is what? What is this? What? This. Look with your eyes, child. You're looking at the same spot that I am looking. And you keep saying what? Like, it's magically going to disappear. It's not going to disappear. And I was like, what are you doing, bud? Like, you know better than this. And he's like, well, I just wanted to see if I could do it. And I said, Nathan, you could have really hurt yourself. Like, I told you not to touch any of this stuff because it's not safe for you to play with. So then I see he's got a Band-Aid on. And I'm like, what happened here? He goes, I cut my hand. I said, did you cut your hand playing with a staple gun? And he goes, no. I said, was your hand cut? This is the children, honestly. Was your hand cut before you played with the staple gun? No. Was your hand cut after you played with the staple gun? Yes. Would that not lead you to believe that your hand was cut while you were playing with the staple gun? I don't know. You don't know. I mean, this is a linear thought here, people. So I look, thankfully it is just a scratch. He is not actually like thunked himself with the staple gun. So we go through that. He loses his tablet for the day and has to spend some time in his room, but regardless. So now this is later in the day and I keep trying. And so now he's standing next to me. The gun jams. Now the plywood that I am balancing all of this on is to my back right. He is to my top left. So I push the staple gun into the plywood and I pull the trigger. And as soon as I pull the trigger, Nathan screams. Now, immediately in my head as a mother, I've hit him in the eye, I've blinded him for life, I've put a staple in his skull, he's gonna bleed out, I've hit a major artery, all of these things flashed before my mind. What actually happened, thank God, was like a piece of the metal that must have been caught in there actually just skimmed his belly on top of his shirt. So he had like a little red line. Like, thank Jesus it wasn't something else, but it was like completely the opposite direction of him. So I inadvertently shot my child with a staple gun. Needless to say, it was not a great day. It was not good. So I ended up just calling it a day. Like, this is not going to work. So I start looking, because you know me and I'm tenacious and I'm not going to give up on it. I start looking at the way other crates are built, and I realize the other crates have support pieces that they're built into the corners. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Home Depot. I'm going to get me some support pieces. I'll staple it into the support pieces. It'll all be good. Yes. So I go to Home Depot. This very nice older man cuts the wood that I need. I get 4 pieces, 1 for each corner. I come home, I sand them, I stain them, I wait for them to be done, and then I put my support pieces in. It's working swimmingly. The sides are going right into them. I'm like, yes, this is gonna work. But in the meantime, it's also destroying my frame, okay? Just absolutely destroying my frame of my card box. So I'm like, I'll worry about that later. Then I realized that I should have got not 4 pieces, but 8 pieces, because now I have nothing to put into the ones along the top and the bottom. So now I have to go back to Home Depot. I go back to the Home Depot. I get another 4 pieces cut. I come home, I stain them, I sand them, I stain them, I clear coat them. I put those in place. Then I have to completely pull off my frame altogether because it looks so crazy. I tried wood filler. That did not work. I tried putting little finishing nails in them to hold them. That did not work. So then I just end up pulling off the entire frame. I just pulled off the entire frame, and then had to sand, restain new paint sticks, recut them, and then build my frame all over again. And even then, like, because of the way, like, the chalkboard was higher than the wood, it still looked a little crazy. It eventually, like, I was able to fix it with a little bit of wood filler and some sanding and just, like, putting extra, you know, kind of like dabbing on the stain versus completely wiping it off kind of thing, in order to get it done. But I did eventually finish it. I will never make another one. Like, when I originally saw them, I was like, these are so cute. If they're, like, super cheap and easy to build, I'll build them and then I'll use them to store my stamps in. Instead of buying these expensive plastic containers, I'll just build these cute little crates. Won't that be adorable? And I'll put them in my new hutch. But I'm not going to do that because I like my sanity and I'm not a sadist. So that's not going to be a thing in my life. Those little crates are not going to be a thing in my life. I am glad that we're going to have it. It fits our little theme of our wedding very nicely. After I got it all said and done, as far as the building, I used, which worked surprisingly well, the little metallic chalk marker from the Dollar Tree in white to write cards on the chalkboard part. And then I hot glued some of the flowers that we're using for our centerpieces, like across the top. If you have been to my Instagram, then you probably saw a picture. I do want to note on the Instagram, by the way, because some people will come over and say, hey, I came to see your photos, but they're gone. I usually share in the stories, and the stories only last 24 hours. So if it's been more than 2 days since I put up the video, those photos are probably gone unless I shared them in my actual biography. So you'll have to, like, follow me, which... Also want to mention, I did change my name to Kelly Latevola instead of Dispatcher 6194, and I'm probably going to change it again next week at some point, but I got to figure out something besides Kelly Taylor, because the girl from Beverly Hills 90210, I am not. So I got to figure out another kind of handle, since Taylor is such a common last name. But anyway, so back to the card. I am going to stamp down my butterfly on top of my flower because I need the antennas. That's pretty much why I'm stamping it, because I need the antennas and I'm not going to cut them off. And I didn't want the white outline that the dye would provide. If this was just a blue background, I probably would have dyed it and then just colored the white background. And you would never really have noticed the difference. But because of the flowers, I didn't want to mess around with all that, so I just fussy cut it out. And then I'm going to pop it up with foam right on top. I also did not put a sentiment on this card because this is one of those cards that's, like, good for so many things. Like, it could be a simple thinking of you. It could be a sympathy card. It could be a birthday card. It could be just like, these images are so versatile that I wasn't ready to commit to any kind of sentiment at this juncture. So, yeah, the card box... Heidi, I mean, honestly, like, you're going to get sucked down the rabbit hole. I'm going to link to her channel, and she is amazing. I did message her, by the way, because I couldn't find the video and I wanted to rewatch it. So I messaged her, and this is the most bougie YouTube/card make thing I've ever thought in my life. I wasn't sure if she would message me back, because some people don't. Now, I answer all of my own messages on Instagram, and I answer all of my own messages on YouTube. You guys know that. But not everybody does. And she has a huge following on YouTube, just a massive. And I was like, oh man, like, she probably won't even see my message. And I just want to find out where this video is. So I went to her Instagram and I was like, well, I have 2,000 more followers than her. Maybe she'll respond back to me, which is so pretentious. Like, I don't even like that I even thought that. But she was sweet enough to respond back to me and send me the link to her video. So she was amazing. But anywho, so this is the entire card. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you learned a little something, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.